Rock, paper, scissors. This concept of game design has been around for a long time. And when the finals launched, I was able to see the underlying concept of rock, paper, scissors. In having this cycle of play where one thing ends up being countered by the next, or that next thing is then countered by the next. And there are a few things such as recon that had little to no counter, which did kind of feel out of place. We also had some situations like nukes where the counters were simply just not strong enough to keep up with the raw power that nukes brought. I always saw the game as heavy as rock, medium is scissors, and light is paper. The heavy class relied a lot on its utility and gadgets for its power, such as RPGs, C4s, shields, etc. And light was able to stun, glitch, and do tons of DPS to melt that big HP bar, essentially removing heavy's capabilities. Light relied on being sneaky, approaching from off angles, and either had to play back with its weapons or get right in people's faces. Medium was actually able to use recon, sonar, grenade, and tracking dart to essentially track and scout the light back, making it much harder for the light to do what its job is, which is taking off angles. And even when it was in a face-to-face match, the medium's weapons would often just win, even when stunned, especially with the F-car's accuracy with hipfire. Medium was typically the support, bringing mobility, healing, defib, or intel gathering depending on the loadout. With little to defend themselves, they relied a lot on being near teammates. The heavy was very explosive and could actually just wipe targets instantly. The mesh provided a safe way to reposition. The SA-12 is still one of the strongest DPS weapons in the game and can melt targets. The medium is no exception. They also have C4s, RPGs, and domes to have excellent entry potential. They also did have access to nukes. All this combined versus a medium, they seem to be really good at just taking them out, since the medium's mobility often was stuff like the jump pad or zipline, which didn't really provide enough of an escape when you got caught out. Now, speaking of nukes, we've also seen plenty of different strategies come and go. To explain the nuke first, it was where you'd strap C4 onto a barrel and throw it at an enemy to blow it up. This was strong enough to wipe an entire team. This was removed in Season 2 after plenty of balancing attempts previously that didn't seem to get it quite in the spot that people were happy with. We saw the recon meta take over the game, an ability that gave you wall hacks map-wide, knowing where every single player is, and was definitely not the healthiest thing in the game, and was a complete counter to stuff like Cloak. In Season 2, Medium lost recon and also ended up losing the tracking dart and sonar grenade, as those ended up moving over to light. This means that Cloak no longer has a counter outside of another light, which means paper now counters paper. The Cloak also does make noise when activated. While they are cloaked, they make a buzzing sound. There's also a shimmer on cloaked players. These effects are either stronger or weaker depending on how fast the light player is moving. So you can actually sit still in a corner and be quiet, and also very hard to see as your shimmer becomes very hard to notice. So there is sort of counterplay in that regard, but nothing really direct. Now, the developers do not have to make this game rock, paper, scissors, and that may not have been the intention originally. It is a sandbox game and freedom is very important. I also don't think everything needs a counter, but it does create the current issue I hear where players are very upset with Cloak, and especially the stun gun in combination. As in casual play, it is completely taking over, and complaints about Cloak is all over Reddit's, the Discord, and comment section of every video. To explain my perspective, I typically play ranked. I currently am Diamond 1, and I'm in and out of the top 100 depending on how many cheaters I've happened to face that day. My peak rank was 40 this season. I'm most likely going to be kind of stepping back a little bit from ranked until some of the cheating issues are dealt with and the rank system is a little bit more clear. When it comes to light in general, we luckily are seeing more of them in ranked this season, and the light, medium, heavy comp is very strong, often used by some of the best teams currently in the game. Basically, every light in the top 100, or really top 500 for that matter, tend to use Cloak, an LH1 or XP54, Stun Gun, Gateway, and Glitch, And there are some variables like sonar grenade, tracking dart that gets brought out sometimes. And then there are some other gadgets being popped up here and tested out. But as it stands, it seems like Cloak is the go-to specialization for the best players out there. Now, in my opinion, you can certainly run Evasive Dash and still do well. But an issue I have is Cloak is so good for playing the objective and staying alive, so you could run Vanish Bomb if you're running Evasive Dash. This creates a new dilemma of which gadget do you drop. The stun gun honestly is one of the best gadgets for lights. There's a reason why so many people complain about it. It can stop steals, it can create picks for you and your team, it can also keep you alive while you're running away, and so much more. The gateway is huge. It is a very big reason why light is so good this season. The ability to traverse the map with your team is so incredible. It also gives you an amazing escape and even chase potential. Overall, the utility it brings for your team can't be ignored. Glitch grenades after the rework, making them work on impact, was amazing. Now it's one of the best ways to break up a steal where they're using dome shield mesh and also breaking up defenses when you are trying to steal. We see this gadget is finally allowing you to play aggressive and succeed. But if you don't see a ton of heavies, you could potentially drop this. But heavy is still dominating the meta, so it's kind of unlikely. This is why we aren't seeing a lot of Evasive Dash at the moment in higher elo. The way I see it is this is a team game through and through. A huge reason why heavy and medium have been so good is the impact they have on the team. Heavy with its ability to drop cash outs. With all the multiple shields, barricades to protect your team and survive, this class is just great as a front line for the team. The medium with defib, heals, and the mobility for the entire team are all extremely strong. Then we have light, where we had fewer team utility choices. The stun and glitch are amazing for opening up a lot of fights, defending cash outs, and the gateway now provides the same team mobility that the medium often brought. However, I'd say it's actually a lot better and also has some more unique utility that comes along with it. When I look at my teammates and what they are running, I often think, what utility are they bringing to the team and how can this help me win? Which is why we all hate that solo queue grapple snipe player, because they provide no utility to help you or your team. There's no gateway to get across the map. There's no stun gun to help get picks. There's no glitches to provide a way to shut down enemy defenses. The Cloak LH1 or XP that gets into the objective, deletes targets, is providing so much utility to the team, is going to help you win more often than not. And overall is just more impactful and more useful than a lot of the other choices you might bring. People often focus too much on individual performance, and bringing all these gadgets that only deal damage and provide little to no help to your team just isn't good. You may likely end up with the most kills, and your teammates might have 1 or 3 kills. You probably sit there and think they are useless, but realistically you may be the one screwing them over. While they provide all the team utility and support, you are playing selfishly. This is often why people would just prefer another medium or heavy every time they see that light in their team, because they more often than not will be trying to provide support and help out their team. When it comes to defending or attacking the point, you want everyone to work together and to stay alive. If you're leaving your team to constantly 2v3 while you only deal damage and try to rack up kills, you are likely never going to improve and will get stuck in a rut of blaming your team. Rant aside, Cloak at the moment provides the security needed to bring the team utility that assists you the most. This is why top players use Cloak, because it is a very team-oriented game. Now again, this is just a top 100 Diamond 1 perspective. This does not and should not reflect the rest of the game. With all that being said, I do want to point out that if Cloak was to be removed, Light would need a lot of help to stay viable in high elo. They would likely have to drop some team utility, which would be bad for the class. I'm not sure what the correct approach is, to buff other things to be on the Cloak's level, to remove Cloak, nerf it, or leave everything the same. I want to hear your thoughts. I'm sure there are potentially good loadouts that differ from my examples. Those were just for the sake of the discussion. I'm also a fan of sonar grenades and tracking darts. I am a fan of off-meta as well, and having a variety of picks to choose from, so I'm hoping to find new loadouts, new builds, and concepts that work well in ranked, but at the moment the meta for light seems pretty set in stone, or written on paper. Get it? Anyways, I'd appreciate it if you press the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm always putting out content on the finals. It's a place for discussion, education, entertainment, and gameplay. Thank you to my members on YouTube, Melly Joyce, TJ Burke, Jerry Sack, Broken Weasel, Leo Vader, and Idolale. If you are a light, be kind, be useful, help your team, and I will see you in the finals. They're on it right now.
I see it.
We can go. Play away. Oh wow.
2 teams here.
Oh, he's one, we traded. He pointed right on top of him. That's crazy. Yeah, so it's crazy.
Like there, boy.
Oh, that looked pretty slick.
Yeah.
Holy fuck, did you grab? Let's go B. I'm just gonna throw that.
I agree.
I can put this up on the back too. You just gotta jump in and take it.
I just gotta survive there. Jesus Christ.
Yo, you literally ported me directly on a light and just didn't even help me.
Oh, what?
Behind you. There's just people everywhere.
I'm trying to get to you. I'm getting like griefed by the one team.
Apple, he's on crane. Under us, coming up.
Full wipe. Holy shit, what's shooting me? That's a lot of things. There's a lot of C4 on that point.
What dagger tech? Just hitting a backstab?
Yeah. Like while they're standing in front of you.